German says Ethiopia country selected to host COP32 for its successful climate initiatives. German embassy charged affair in Addis Ababa. Ferdinand von Wey said Ethiopia's selection to host the 32nd United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP32, highlights the effectiveness of its national...
The COP here in Addis Ababa. I think this is a very strong signal for Ethiopia, but for Africa at large, and the importance of this continent to climate change and climate action also. And I see this also in light of the African Climate Summit we just had here, ahead of the Belém conference. So I think there's a strong profile in climate action in this country.
Wade remarked that Ethiopia has demonstrated tangible progress through various green development projects, including significant advancements and expansion in hydroelectric power.
I do see this, that there's a strong rise in opportunities for using this green energy, for using green electricity in this country, and for further electrification of the whole country. And I would also like to stress the green legacy, which we admire. One was the African Climate Summit that was hosted here to give an African voice to the Belém conference. I think this was very important, and I think also by this African Climate Summit #2, which was hosted here, Ethiopia in a way qualified for hosting the COP in Addis Ababa, and also the other very practical examples of generating green energy, and also for the reforestation of this country.
He emphasized that hosting COP32 sends a strong message not only for Ethiopia but for the entire African continent, highlighting Africa's growing role in addressing the global climate crisis.
Ethiopia's bilateral development cooperation in this one. We have the International Climate Initiative, where we do support banks through the European Investment Bank. We support commercial banks in lending, in giving money for greening the economy. In our development portfolio, the agriculture is a very strong pillar, and agriculture has a lot to do with climate resilience also. And we have a number of projects in this domain to cope with climate changes here in this country.
Economy initiatives, renewable energy development, and extensive afforestation campaigns were key factors behind its successful bid. India, Ethiopia to elevate bilateral relations to strategic partnership. India and Ethiopia will elevate their bilateral relationships to the level of strategic partnership to unleash potentials of the two nations.
India's bilateral relationship to the level of a strategic partnership. The potential of our economics through cooperation in technology, innovation, mining, sustainability, and clean energy.
Mr. Narendra Modi said. In his address to the joint session of the House of People's Representatives,
Indian companies are among the largest foreign investors in Ethiopia. They have invested more than $5 billion in diverse sectors like textiles, manufacturing, agriculture, health, and more. And they have created more than 75,000 local jobs. But I'm sure we can all agree our partnership has a lot more potential.
The House of Federation today, PM Modi said Ethiopia and India are the cradles of ancient civilization.
Ethiopia, we are ready to share our expertise and our experience with Ethiopia. Our commitment to mutual security becomes stronger with the signing of the Defense Cooperation Agreement earlier this year. This arrangement focuses on closer military cooperation. It includes collaboration in cybersecurity, in defense industries, in joint research, and in capacity building. Last year, we marked another historic step with the inclusion of Ethiopia as a full member of the BRICS. The Global South is writing its own destiny, and India and Ethiopia share a vision for it. Our vision is of a world where the Global South rises not against anyone, but for everyone.
Renowned African media leaderships voiced strong support for Ethiopia's push for fair and equitable access to sea routes, underscoring its crucial role in spurring economic growth and fostering continental unity. The media leaders emphasized that securing sea access is vital not only for Ethiopia's development but also for Africa's collective economic stability and political harmony. Abdoulaye Say, Director General of Gambia Radio and Television Service, affirmed Ethiopia's legitimate claim to access to the sea.
Yes. I've heard about Ethiopia talking about access to the sea, talking about they need to have access to the sea because now Ethiopia is big and prosperous, but it's landlocked. Djibouti and Eritrea are serving as barriers to the sea. And I think it's a fair argument. A big power like Ethiopia needs to have access to the sea. How can? We have that historically. The land has been given to another country, but we can still negotiate as brothers. That is a possibility that we need to look at. We negotiate as brothers and give Ethiopia access to the sea. Why do we need to do that? Because if we do, Ethiopia will become more prosperous. And if Ethiopia becomes more prosperous, that means more prosperity for Africa. 130 million people, that is a huge population, the second biggest after Nigeria. We don't want to see Ethiopia fail. We want to see Ethiopia succeed. And I think it is a legitimate and political quest for Ethiopia to say it needs access to the sea.
Ayanda Hallo, president of TV BRICS Africa, also echoed this sentiment, pointing to the interconnected interests of Ethiopia and its neighbors.
Look, first we always need to have good relations with our neighbors. Yes, there will be misunderstandings, yet we need to always ensure that peace will lead us into understanding our neighbors. And understanding our neighbors means that whatever I can be able to do at sea, our neighbors will also benefit. So it's important that your access to the sea is really, your neighbors needs to come to terms that without you developing, they also won't develop. And there's a resource of the maritime that you can utilize more than anybody else in that region. So it is very, for me, critical and important that you do get the sea access, and your neighbors need to know that your development is also their benefit.
Addis Ababa now became the runabout of Africa. Wherever you're going to Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, you always have to pass through Addis Ababa. And every time I'm passing through Addis Ababa, I can see the difference. And this is beautiful. The infrastructure is growing up very well, and it's one of the countries to look up to, so that in the future, some country in West Africa also can have build up and have the same infrastructure as Addis Ababa, as Ethiopia.